Boys and girls, this is Mrs. Askins bringing your science lesson about living and non-living things. We have studied this before, we're going to review it, and my PowerPoint is going to be by paper today since my computer has decided to not work. All right, the world around us includes living and non-living things. Well, just what are living things? Plants and animals are living things. They need air, they need food and water to live. So we have the little lamb eating, we have a hawk grabbing a fish to eat, and we have a bee going to go get some nectar for its food and to make honey. Animals must eat food and drink water to stay alive. Well, how do plants get food and water, you may ask? Plants use their roots to pull water and nutrients from the soil. Well, what else makes something a living thing, you may ask? Living things grow, change, and can move from place to place. Well, how do plants grow and change and move? Plants grow from small seeds to huge trees and change each year. But how do plants move? Plants cannot move by themselves, but they grow and move towards the sun, just like these flowers are, these pretty sunflowers. Changes in living things can happen slowly, or they can happen quickly. What are some changes that happen slowly? Let's think about that. Here are some changes that happen slowly. When you're trying to grow your hair out long, when you're getting taller, when you're changing shoe sizes. Those are things that happen very slowly. But what are some changes that can happen quickly? Well, cutting your hair and losing a tooth are quick changes. Can you think of any other quick changes that might happen? Think about that for a minute. Living things also produce offspring that look like their parents. Just like here we see the goose, and her little gooselings. We see the hippo and her baby hippo, and the lioness and her baby cub, and the horse with her foal or colt. Well, how do plants produce offspring? That's right. Plants produce seeds, which grow into new plants. So let's review living things. Living things need energy from food to grow and change over time. And living things can move, grow bigger, and produce offspring, just like these cute little porcupines. Well, fruits and vegetables are living things while they are still attached to the plant. But once they are picked, they become non-living things. So on the left here, we have some tomatoes, and they're still attached to the vine. But over here, we have some pumpkins, some squash, some gourds, and different other vegetables that have been picked, so they're no longer living because they can't grow. They won't be able to get food. So non-living things are objects that do not grow or change over time and do not produce offspring. So here we have some stuffed animals, we have some shoes, and we have a robot. And you might ask, well, can non-living things move? No, non-living things can't move on their own. They need help from living things to move. Just like the bus needs a motor and wheels and a bus driver to move it. The man is pushing the lawnmower or it wouldn't be moving. Can you find non-living things in your classroom at home? Well, there are lots of non-living things in your classroom at home and in our classroom at school. We use non-living things every single day. In this picture you see we have colored pencils, we have a globe, and we have books. Those are all non-living things, but we use them all the time. So let's review non-living things. Non-living things do not change over time. They do not produce offspring and do not need energy from food. Are you ready for the quiz? Let's see how much you learned today. All right, Here is a grasshopper. So, is the grasshopper living or non-living? Does it eat? Does it move? Does it reproduce? Yes, so it's living. Let's look at the next picture. Here we have a computer. Does the computer eat? No. Does it move? No, except for when you type on the keys. Does it reproduce? No. So it is non-living. Let's look at the next picture. Here we have a teddy bear. Does the teddy bear eat? No. Does it reproduce? No. Does it need water? No, it doesn't. So the teddy bear we know is non-living. Now here's a bear. Does a bear eat? Yes. Does it reproduce? Yes. Does it need to drink water? Yes. Does it move? Yes. The bear is a living thing, isn't it? All right, so here we have a green pepper, and to me it looks like it is still attached to the vine, so it will still grow. It will still need food from its roots that it gets from the ground and water, so it is living. So I want you to look at this picture. How many living and non-living things can you find in the picture? I'm going to give you a minute, and then I'm going to tell you some of the things that I see. Let's start with non-living. I see a stop sign. I see a vest that the man is wearing. I see a hat, policeman's hat. I see backpacks and clothing and shoes and a bus and a car, several cars, and a light pole. Those are all non-living. Now let's think about the things that you see that are living. Well, I see 5 people, 4 children and an adult. I see grass. I see trees that are living. All those are living things. Let's look at one more picture. How many living and non-living things can you find in this picture? Well, non-living, let's see. I see the wagon. I see the canopy and the wheel and a car, and I see several buildings. Those are all non-living things. Oh, I even see a pair of scissors. But I also see lots of different kinds of vegetables and fruits. All are plants. I see a tree. I see some grass. Those are all living things. Now, I want you to think about our lessons that we've had in the past. Remember the day that we had worms and gummy worms and we compared them? And we found out that the gummy worm wasn't alive, was it? But the worm, it wiggled, it ate, it did everything. It was living. But the gummy worm, that was something that we could eat. We didn't eat this one, but we ate a different one. So that is the difference there. Those are 2 different living and non-living things. And I want you to think about the other thing we did. We made a pet rock. And we made a chart, an anchor chart. And we decided that we were talking about characteristics of a non-living pet when we made our pet rock. A non-living pet doesn't need water. It won't grow too big. You don't have to walk it. You don't have to take it out to go to the bathroom. It doesn't need food. It doesn't slobber. It doesn't wake up the neighbors. It's quiet. It doesn't make a mess, and it is a good listener. That's what our non-living pet was, and those were its characteristics. Now, I'm going to show you over here. I did, see if I can get out further, a living and non-living chart, sorted. I sorted some pictures. And I want you to look at that chart because there are 2 things on there that I can see that are not correct. But I want you to figure that out yourself. And maybe next week we'll talk about which ones were not right in my sort. And also today, If you want to go on a scavenger hunt around your home or even outside in your yard with your parents' permission, you could make a list of things that you see that are living and non-living in your own space. I hope you enjoyed this lesson, and we'll see you next week.